Hey, what's up, Rawcast listeners? Doug here bringing you a new installment. This week we got my good friend Matt, so naturally we got the Matman Cometh. This is his first time on Rawcast AD. We talk about hunting, both bow, gun, talk a little bit about gun legislation, and how things are operating with the Wisconsin DNR in terms of what kind of wildlife we're seeing. And we don't get to go too in-depth because, again, this is the first time he's sitting down here at the table with me for Rawcast AD. As you can tell from previous episodes, it gets a little bit silly or a little off track with first-time guests. It can be a little unnerving sitting down in front of a microphone and just chatting as if the equipment's not here. But I had a hell of a time with Matt. I think he did a great job. We barely scratched the surface, and we look forward to many more episodes in the future. And again, this is another first. I want to say thank you, a huge shout out to guitarist Roger Walters, currently of the band Of the Earth. They're a hell of a band. Feel free to check them out on Facebook. But otherwise, here it is, the Matman Cometh, music rights and credits to Roger Walters of the Earth. Hope you guys have a good time. So, hey, man, thanks for coming today. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Since it's been a while since we've seen each other, I think we talked for like the last 20 minutes at least without hitting record.
More than that. But.
Just catching up on stuff. And we don't want to start off too controversial, but we do want to get into politics today. I know that much.
A little bit.
A little bit. Just
as much as I know about politics. Just as much.
I mean, if we go back to when we were hanging out like frequently, because if you guys aren't aware, Matt and I, we actually met on Valentine's Day 2009. Remember that day?
Yeah. Meshuggah concert.
Went to see Meshuggah on Valentine's Day. To me, that was perfect. I hadn't really heard of Meshuggah before, and to see him live right out the gate was awesome.
Yeah, that's probably still the best show I've been to.
Yeah, I can't complain. Those guys are like technical wizards, it seems. They, even at the rave, it was dialed in perfectly.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we've seen things in the past where, like, bands will send their own sound techs down and be like, hey, rave people, go away.
Yeah.
I just kind of pegged the rave in Milwaukee. Nothing too controversial. These guys are stupid.
Yeah, no shit.
Sorry to the sound techs down there in Milwaukee. You do an okay job. But no, that was kind of our shtick, though. We would go to concerts quite a bit. Like, that was our thing. Usually, like, average of 2 a year, I think.
Yeah, a couple.
Because we saw Black Label.
It's not like there's a lot of really good stuff that comes around here, so.
Nah, not so much anymore. This is going to get a little more locally focused for a second, but it was cool when we had the Fillmore in Wausau. And I used to work at the Grand Theater in Wausau as an intern, but never went into any of the shows, actually.
Oh, yeah?
And when the Fillmore shut down is when you saw the Q&Z Expo start up. And, I mean, there's some cool things that go on, but that's in Ringgold.
Ringgold?
You're kind of driving out to the middle of nowhere on that. And nothing against the Q&Z Expo. You know, they put on some great shows, but it's just kind of odd, you know. The only time I thought it was more weird to go to a concert was when I saw Seven Dust. And I can't remember who else was there, but it was like in 2005 or something. Saw Seven Dust, and the only other thing I remember from the show was Jada Pinkett Smith.
Oh, what?
Because Jada Pinkett Smith is a metal vocalist for Wicked Wisdom.
Okay, yeah.
And so I actually got to shake hands with Jada Pinkett Smith.
No shit.
She's a really humble human being.
That's funny.
She's like standing there at the merch table kind of, and I just go up, shake her hand, and I'm like, hey, I thought that was really awesome. And she just kind of like got this embarrassed look, and she's like, well, thank you, I appreciate it. I'm like, you're Jada Pinkett Smith. Why are you acting all humble?
That's pretty sweet.
Not expecting her to have an attitude, but it was just
You
kind
never
of,
know.
it just came off as a really humbling moment for her, it seemed. So
Yeah.
I was honored.
Yeah, I forgot that she was in a band.
Yeah, I had the CD for a long time, but that gets shuffled around, moving, kids, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Poor organization on myself. I'll blame myself for a minute. But I haven't been to a concert in a long time, and
No, it's been a while.
I got sucked up into my own little world, so that's what led to you and me not seeing each other for a long time.
You know what the last concert I was to was?
What's that?
TLC.
When did you see TLC?
A couple months ago, a month or two ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it good?
It was okay.
No, you and I were.
I mean, it's not technically TLC anymore. It's only TNC. But whatever. It was all right.
TNC.
They can still sing. So
Yeah, to me. I used to really like metal,
yeah.
and we're good friends with my cousin Tyler, and there's possible talks of getting a podcast going there.
Yeah, that'd be cool
I would really dig that.
for sure.
But he and I clicked on metal, and it helped that he lived across the street from me for a little while when we were both into metal. That's when I got to go see Opeth with him. But when you and I met, you opened me up to more indie style music.
Yeah.
God, now I can't think of the names.
Yeah, because it's all shit we don't listen to anymore, probably.
But that really
yeah.
helped for my musical taste and my development, because when I first started managing bands, it was like I wanted to stick with what I knew, which was metal, but I also knew that Central Wisconsin wasn't the greatest market for metal.
Yeah.
So it was necessary to branch out, but I'm a pretty stubborn German guy. And so for a long time, if you didn't like metal, oh man, your music sucks.
Yeah.
But I grew up on 80s rock, got into 90s alternative pretty easily. And then when it came to opening up to the more indie styles, it just was a whole new world to me.
Yeah.
And so whether some of it I really, really, really liked and kept it in my catalog for a while, some of it appealed to me. There's different ways of listening to the music is kind of what I'm getting at. So I can have a list where it'll be this crushing death metal song and then immediately jump into The Bird and the Bee.
Yeah.
Just completely jumping into this really niche indie alternative, I guess sub genre.
Yeah, yeah. No, you get into different moods, You got to mix it up.
It helps. You got to mix it up. But
I didn't listen to hardly any metal till I, moved to Point pretty much.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm still discovering some metal bands out there, but the way my musical taste has changed, since we were last hanging out, is I kind of like finding the local bands.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple metal bands out there within central Wisconsin, Waupaca, Portage County, that I dig. And if they had a local show, I'd probably go check them out.
Yeah.
But working opposite schedules from my wife, having 2 kids, getting out on a Friday night's not that easy.
No, for sure.
But so I wouldn't necessarily say stopped. It's not like I made a decision.
Uh-huh.
But music just kind of faded away for a good 6 months.
No,
I
I hear ya.
wasn't listening to music at all. I was listening to books to brush up and learn about financial planning, financial intelligence, and
No, audiobooks are where it's at, man.
and for fiction, it's hard for me now.
Yeah.
With an audiobook, because I like to be able to, it's not too far off from how it was a few years ago. You and I both working at the machine shop. Just throw your earbuds in, listen to an audiobook, and work on your parts. But if I'm listening to a fantasy novel while I'm washing the dishes,
Yeah.
I zone out for 30 seconds and then I get lost because it's a fantasy novel.
Yeah.
And so I have to find time in my schedule, and it gets harder and harder to schedule as you get older, I think.
Yeah, time to zone out and get into a different universe.
exactly it. And so I've had a lot of my hobbies fall by the wayside. I've had, my social life go away. I mean, the last time we hung out, I can't even remember. It's been that long ago.
Yeah, it's been at least a year.
And so,
I mean, it's definitely been over a year, but
way over a year. And so, it, priorities changed because I guess the times changed. And if you don't stay up on it mentally, it is very easy to fall into ruts.
oh yeah, no, for sure.
And so I'm bringing myself back to having more of a schedule, being more organized with my time.
Yeah,
I took that for granted before I had kids.
yeah,
The fact that time is literally the most valuable resource you have.
yeah,
And so, like, just before we hit record, you were talking about how, you put in, you drive up to Wausau for family dinner with your sister one day a week, and it's a specific day.
yeah.
And I'm finding that it's fairly difficult to do that. Like, even with this
Oh, no,
podcast, like, oh, I'm going to record on Fridays. Oh, I can't do Friday. Okay, let's do Saturday morning, Monday, Tuesday. And that's a secret exclusive there. Now people know that these are pre-recorded.
The secret's out.
Like, so, all my hobbies fell by the wayside. I haven't been to a concert in a long time.
Yeah,
I used to, back in the day, I used to love woodworking, and like that was one of the first things to go. And so other than audiobooks, being a dad and, focusing on my career, I wasn't doing much. Mm-hmm. And like, so in the past year, since we haven't really talked to each other, like I've heard that you started bow hunting.
yeah, a little bit.
But did you do that in your younger years, or?
I never bow hunted as a kid. Never had a bow or nothing. I've had a bow for a couple of years, but I've never really, gone out. I got a new bow this year. Set it up last weekend.
What kind of bow did you get?
It's PSE.
Hey, right on.
So set that up. Was shooting pretty good. Shot a bunch of times. I got to shoot it more to see if it's actually sighted in now, because by the end of it, I was pretty tired. So who knows what I got? But
it can be tough. I know I got to sight in my rifle pretty damn soon here. The fact that it's already bow season, I haven't sighted in my gun.
yeah,
Like, now I got to find a place to go. I mean, people go, oh, there's always the range. I kind of like going out to family and friends' properties and shooting them off.
no, it's been ages since I've been to a range. I miss trap shooting though. That I haven't done in years. Used to go as a kid. But
I got to fire one slug, or not even really a slug. It's birdshot. Mm-hmm. But got to fire one round of birdshot for trap shooting. That was it. And that was during my hunter safety course.
Oh, okay, yeah,
But so, fitting things into a schedule, it seems like bow hunting might be a little bit easier because there's only like one or two times a year or like, I guess, month where you can fit that into your schedule. I know with gun season, I used to bow hunt up until I was like 15 probably. I outgrew my bow.
Oh yeah.
And just never really made it a priority to
get a
new one. And I
can be
really want to
expensive.
go. Oh,
Yeah.
it can be very expensive. Remember that killed me. I probably you too at UPS when
All those Matthews bows that would come down the line.
the Matthews prototypes
Yeah.
too.
Or Bowtech or whatever. You get boxes of them.
You'd have Bowtech, Matthews,
Stacked 10 high.
and God, I can't think of the other one.
Yeah.
There was
me neither.
Browning, I thought. No.
You'd get all kinds of crazy shit coming down there that you'd want.
I mean, in one night, you would see literally like, I think you could count upwards of like over $500,000.
Oh yeah,
in bows.
just bows. Yeah,
And you're
easily.
sitting there making. I mean, it's a fair wage for the hours and job worked,
Oh yeah, it's a decent job.
but you're like, wow, you know how long it would take me to work here to build it up.
Yeah.
Mandatory part time. That's all I'm saying, guys. It wasn't enough hourly. The wages were nice. The benefits were phenomenal, but
More hours. That's what you need, man.
which was tough if you had a second job or kids. But I mean, if you were like a single guy and you could just go ahead and double shift every day, and sometimes if you didn't get caught, you could triple shift
Yeah.
because there was
No,
just poor
if you
communication
could,
at
just
times.
if you could have been full time, without having to be a driver or something.
Yep.
Or a supervisor that your job's not nearly as secure, you know?
Yeah, it's tough. I did hear that the pensions were getting stripped from a lot of the non-union workers.
Oh, yeah.
But this isn't about UPS anymore. That's in our past, man. So, like, bow hunting is cool to me because I love hunting to begin with, the outdoors, hunting, fishing. You feel connected to nature kind of thing.
Oh, definitely.
But for me, I prefer the bow over the gun. It's
Yeah.
just, you get a couple guns as gifts, and so you stick with it.
Yeah, I still like shooting guns a lot.
Well, it's definitely
But that's what
fun.
I grew up doing, you know? I was never really had a bow. I had some little recurve I would shoot out back and stuff, but nothing.
Have you gotten out bow hunting yet?
I did a little last year, but not with my new bow yet, so.
Sorry,
it'll
you
be
got the
nice.
squeaky chair, man.
Oh, no, that's cool. I'm probably just moving around too damn much.
Yeah,
too.
we're waiting for an anonymous donor to just get us new chairs.
There you go. Maybe that'll help. Scoot in and lean back.
But so you haven't shot a deer with the bow yet?
Nope, not yet.
I hope you experience what I did, and that's that it's more intimate with a bow than it
Yeah.
is with the gun.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
So you think about it, I hunt in the pines, and so there's pine rows, and I've had to change my hunting style because I used to hunt in the open woods.
Yeah.
And so you pay attention, you could have any angle to shoot from, basically. And now I've got like 3 options. And one of them's using the rifle to take like a 100-yard shot right between these 2 rows of pines. And so, I mean, you got to be quick sometimes. Ever
Yeah.
since they thinned out the pines, and when you thin out the trees, the deer aren't going to stick around as much. They're going to know that's open ground.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm not enjoying gun hunting as much anymore because of that constraint. And I know a lot of people say, okay, it's just time for you to move your tree stand then. It definitely is. But I kind of want to get back into hunting with a bow.
Yeah.
Because when you've got that 8-point buck 30 yards out and you've got a slow draw and then hold that, you find your spot and you sit and wait for that perfect opportunity, like that's all on you. There's so many more variables when you're hunting with the bow versus the gun.
Yeah.
And the fact that all you're going to hear is that basically as the arrow takes off. Whereas when you're hunting with a gun, you definitely know when a shot's fired. But the fact that it's more stealthy, it's much more intimate because you're more in control of the shot. Like a gun, point, shoot. But there's just more variables in shooting with the bow.
Yeah.
And I like that whole aspect. Plus,
for sure.
it
Yeah,
is
it's
still
something.
really cool to shoot guns, but when you can go out to your yard and, take 50 practice shots with the bow,
Yeah.
that takes a lot of focus, a lot of discipline. And
No, definitely.
to me, that's therapy right there. For some people, it's riding their motorcycles around. I like sitting out in the woods with a bow. It's been far too long.
Yeah.
But
I should get on it, dude.
I should. There's just so many things I got to pay for.
Yeah. I hear ya.
And so, I mean, I'll get there. Like, I've got a plan B. I've got a plan C.
Now you can-
I'm working them.
Now you can get a crossbow, too, if you want.
And I still
I
haven't
mean,
made
that's
that
kinda-
decision yet.
You know, that's kind of taken maybe a little bit away of what you want to get from the bow, but
It's like meeting
It's a good-
halfway between the gun and the bow.
yeah, exactly.
Let's see. I think for the sake of me still being young and wanting to get more physically fit and maintain physical fitness,
Yeah.
it might be better for me to go with a real bow as opposed to the crossbow.
You're left-handed though, right?
Yeah.
Your kids, are they left-handed or right-handed?
My oldest is left-handed. The
Okay.
youngest is right-handed.
So, you get a bow, you could give it to your oldest.
Yeah.
You get a crossbow, you could give it to both of them.
And so
That's the one nice thing about the crossbow.
yeah, it's
The
not so
only-
much a
like,
matter.
that's the one the upside to it, I'd say. But otherwise,
See, and I was thinking
I
of it
don't
as
really
like
see much of a difference.
this or that, whereas eventually it's more of a question of which one would I buy first, and for my own sake, the bow.
Yeah.
But why not buy both? It's just by the time the youngest is old enough to hunt, like I've basically got 9 years until he's old enough to go through the courses. So
Well, what do you got to be now, like 10 or something?
I thought it was 12.
Maybe.
Hunter safety at 12 is when I took it, I think.
Yeah, but it's younger now, I think.
Did they change it again? I know the DNR in Wisconsin's been changing a lot of
I
stuff.
thought it was 10 now, but it could be. Who knows?
You know, it really bothers me that...
I was like 14 or something, I think. I don't even know.
Oh, you're a little bit older?
I don't know. Maybe I was 12. Beats the hell out of me, but...
I miss the old hunting traditions that we have, or had.
Yeah.
It's past tense now, so I got to use past tense. But yeah, basically, you know, a bunch of the people from my dad's side of the family would meet out at Grandma's, and Grandma's 40 butted up against Uncle Kelly's 40. So, you know, you could get like 8 to 10 guys hunting these 80 acres of land.
Yeah.
And usually we would produce. You know, we'd harvest every year. And I mean, there's been, out of the past 5 years, I think 3, maybe 4 of them, I have not gotten anything.
Oh, really?
The last time I actually put meat in the freezer was my cousin's husband. That was last season, 2016. And in 2015, we only got meat in the freezer because of my sister.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, my sister got an awesome shot off on one.
Nice.
And, you know, I'm very grateful to see my sister out there hunting and bagging one is pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because there aren't too many females in my family that hunt.
Yeah.
And, you know, it is what it is. You know, not saying you have to, but my wife got her hunter safety course done. And
good for
so
her.
I was
cool.
super excited, but then, of course, she gets a job. She had an office-style job and moved on to elderly care.
Oh, yeah?
So it's, I mean, you know how hard it is to get off
Oh, yeah.
when you're working in, like, healthcare?
No, my mom did elderly care for a while, so...
You
have
never
an
know.
idea.
You get stuck late.
Yeah.
Like,
No, it's a tough job. Those
Yeah.
people don't get paid enough, you know?
They definitely
all those
don't.
kind of jobs.
and believe it or
Service like
not,
that.
that's going to be the main topic, or one of the 2 main topics of next week's episode.
Oh, yeah?
My sister's going to be coming in, and I'm taking a chance that plans fall through, but as of right now, on the calendar, on the schedule, my sister's going to be coming over to talk about elderly care.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that episode, but we got to talk about ours. But you know, it's to go back to it, like, with you look at how this year has been. Like, September's been warmer than August,
Yeah.
and to me that's just really weird. And then, you know, we were talking about how the DNR may have lowered the Wisconsin DNR may have lowered the age requirements to be able to hunt. And I know the DNR has been making a lot of changes.
I don't know what it is now.
There's both good and bad, in my opinion, when it comes to not having the back tags.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the fact that I can use my smartphone to send in the information,
Uh-huh.
like, I kind of miss going down to, like, the local shop.
Yeah, the local
And-
gas station or whatever that registers.
Yeah, and checking out, like, because there's always that one guy who's got his chest puffed out.
Oh, yeah, totally.
He's just, like, he bagged his 12-pointer, and so he's just sitting out in front of, you know, Jerry's bait and tackle.
Yeah.
And just showing everybody that comes by, check out that book.
Yeah. Well, it does seem to me that it would make it a little bit easier to, if somebody wanted to poach, you know what I mean? Like, you can, all you got to do is cut the tag, and then you got to call it in, which, I mean, there's still enough steps and everything.
You don't even have to call it in.
Honest people are honest, but...
I was able to use an app.
Yeah, no, there's
Like,
you
click,
can do
click,
it right on the internet too, but you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to take it anywhere.
And
And
the fact that you don't have to, like, it's not going to prevent somebody from being like, well, I'm hard up for cash. I can't get groceries, and it's going to be a long winter. So, you know, the rest of the guys are going out there hunting. Why not me? Because the chances of getting caught by a game warden, I have yet to see a game warden, whether I'm out on the water or in the woods yet. You know?
I've been stopped enough times.
Have you really?
Yeah,
Do you
I've got
hunt
stopped
public
hunting
land?
before, and yeah, I was stopped enough when I was a kid up hunting up north. But back then, they
up
would always
north they're more
check.
present, I
They would
think.
always check just to see if your pretty much if your gun was unloaded in your car. Obviously, if you didn't have any deer, then there was nothing they had to check there. And if your cases were closed all the way.
Oh, fair
And now
enough.
you don't have to worry about that either. 'Cause
Yeah, you don't have to have
a
cases.
case, which I still carry a case because I don't want my gun to get dinged up in the car.
That's a
So
pretty good point.
that to me is pointless. Like whatever. It's nice to not have to worry about it, but that just all that means to me is that last inch that I used to have to worry. Like, oh, is it zipped up all the way? Now I don't have to worry. And,
I never thought about that. They had regulations on making sure that it was 100% zipped.
Yeah, so that was always my dad saying like, "Oh, make sure your case is zipped all the way." Where now I leave it unzipped. 12 inches or whatever, so
Yeah.
I can just quick grab it. But I still put it in the case.
Oh, absolutely.
That's like
that makes sense.
You hear about this new concealed carry stuff that they're trying to put through. Maybe.
There's new concealed carry stuff?
Yeah, they're trying to make it so you don't have to have a permit anymore. So just anybody can do it.
See, at first
Because I think that's what
I don't know if I have an opinion on that, because one, do I like to be on a government list saying like, okay, this is what this guy has?
Yeah.
Not necessarily, but at the same time, from like, say, law enforcement's perspective, if they're pulling this guy over, to me that might create more anxiety for law enforcement to not be
yeah,
able to check the
definitely.
records.
Oh yeah, to see if who the person in the car has their license.
With the issues we're seeing in the news with police this year, I really don't think that would be a smart move for Wisconsin.
See, I think I've never thought that concealed carry was, I mean, just to me, it just doesn't affect anything I would ever do because I can have my gun on the seat next to me now in my car.
Yep.
And I can have my loaded clip next to the gun. Mm-hmm. As long as it's not in it.
Yeah, literally takes you
I'm fine.
a second to...
Why do I need to have it under my shirt or under my seat? And why do I need to have it loaded? It doesn't affect me.
Well, even how long did we have an open carry state? And how often did you and I have our guns strapped to our hips?
Oh yeah. No, that's then never. Like I'm never taking my gun. And like I said, I case mine anyway.
Yeah, we have the
So
right
it's-
to, but we never wanted to. Like,
The only thing that like my dad got his for is so that if he's been putting in for his bear points to go get his bear tag up north. I think next year he might put in for his now. But anyway, so he wants to take like his handgun on him when he goes into the woods, right?
yeah.
Well, say you have your handgun on you and you got like all your camouflage or something and your coat happens to be over your holster a little,
Oh, you can totally get busted for that.
So now he got his card so that he knows for a fact that he's 100% legal.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, like there's really no.
What do you got to pay?
It
Like
just doesn't
$100
really
to get the
affect-
concealed carry?
Yeah, it might be. It's like 50 or 100 or something like that. But
'Cause,
like,
I mean-
either way, I'm not gonna get it. I don't need it.
I don't either. If you've already had the hunter safety course, you just got to pay X amount of dollars and then you get your permit.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I shouldn't say
I can
I'm not
carry
gonna
it
get
openly. I have a hip holster for my Glock. I
Yeah.
could do it, but
Well,
to
yeah,
me,
what do
what's
you-
the difference of tucking it in my waistband or wearing it on my hip in the holster?
But, yeah.
I don't do either, so big
And I'm not
deal.
saying I wouldn't maybe think different if I lived in a different city, But
yeah.
where I'm at, it just doesn't affect me. Plus, I don't, currently have a handgun.
Yeah.
So,
Like
what am I gonna conceal carry anyway? I'm not gonna put my rifle down my pants,
I got a handgun because we found out we had heroin dealers living kitty corner from us. Mm-hmm. And so took my wife out shooting with it to basically be like, okay, I want to make sure you know how to shoot. So if something were to happen,
Yeah.
it was like a big what if purchase.
Yeah.
Well, we took her out shooting and she is so much better with a handgun than I am.
Oh,
that
really?
She like fired out one clip and I'm like, all right. So I love you, honey.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, I want to get out hunting for more because I do love being out in the woods. I want to get out camping more, and it's time for me to bag a deer.
Yeah.
I want to put my own meat in the freezer.
I got one last year, but
And elk, caribou, moose, bear. Like I see these people like Adam Greentree, even Joe Rogan. You know, he does it as a hobby. Like he's only eating meat that he has basically gotten from the woods himself or the plains.
well, yeah, when you have an endless supply of, money, you can afford to do those kind of hunts,
Yeah, and it would just be nice to do those, even
I
if
mean,
I
yeah,
only
good for
get to
him, I'm
elk
just-
hunt once, if I get to moose hunt once.
Yeah,
The
no,
fact-
exactly.
Like to me, elk is awesome because a lot of times, like if you're far enough out in the wilderness, you're just harvesting that elk right there and carrying it out on your back.
Yeah.
And to me,
No,
that's
it'd be sweet.
that is awesome. Going out and being vulnerable to the environment.
No, I've been saying that for a while now. How it'd be sweet to go elk hunting.
Yeah.
Sometime.
Like you actually get more in touch with nature because you're out in the element. There's more variables. There's more unknown. I mean, those
I would
you
just-
have to go to those dangerous parts to be able to see more bears and wolves.
Oh yeah.
But I have a feeling that we're seeing more mountain lions and wolves, even though the DNR doesn't want to really say much about the wolves. Because I have a friend who, 18 miles from where we're recording this right now, he's seen a wolf out there, and it's a lone
yeah.
it's a lone wolf.
No, they're around though.
And so he took a picture of a print
Yeah.
and showed his buddy in the DNR. He's like, I just want to see what kind of print this is. He goes, oh, that's a wolf. He goes, oh, I took this picture, out on Highway G, blah, 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 at this place. And the guy didn't really want to say much about it.
Oh yeah.
Like, so there's wolves out there. There's mountain lions. And, I mean, do you think any of that has to deal with climate change or hunting practices?
I don't know.
You're getting fidgety and squeaky over there.
I don't know. I mean, the wolves thing is kind of, it's a controversial thing. I don't really know a whole lot about it, I guess, or have really a take on it.
Naturally, because we don't see them much down here, wolves, it's not as big of a topic. But for example, wolves have been in the news over the past year or so because the packs are getting more aggressive. They're
Yeah.
getting more comfortable. And there have been a lot of news stories. And I guess I wouldn't say a lot. It's hard to quantify it because there's been a good handful of stories where packs of wolves have come in and just killed animals for sport.
Oh yeah, they can do that.
Like, but that wasn't, usually they were hunting for, not the sport of it, but nutrition. Like they need it for survival. And to see more of those predators coming out and just killing something because it's like, yeah, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, but then there's stories about like out in Yellowstone where the elk would eat all the grasses that were next to the streams, and then they introduced all the wolves, and the wolves, ate the elk. So then the elk couldn't eat those grasses because they couldn't hang out in those areas anymore because they would be too vulnerable for the wolves. So then those grasses came back along the shores of these streams, and now those streams and the, surrounding area is like more, like the streams don't erode, and it's a better, the environment itself, the ecosystem is an improved ecosystem because they introduced these, predators, and it changed the way that the landscape looks,
Yeah, and I get the big thing in northern Wisconsin for a while was more or less because they were talking about wolf season. They're going to open up hunting on wolves, and enough people like towards the PETA end of things were up in arms, and some people said that the population was still too low to be able to hunt them openly.
I mean, it might be, but it might be too high. You just need
Where
the
do you
facts.
draw the line, though?
See, that's where the DNR comes in, and when it
But
comes
have
to
you
that,
noticed that Wisconsin has scaled back the budget? So, like, there are less, scientists, I'll say, working in the Wisconsin DNR. Mm-hmm. They've cut out a bunch of positions. They've stripped them of some authorities. They've streamlined the process.
yeah,
And so it's kind of like they were deflating the DNR of Wisconsin. And it was not a very good time to do that because if I remember correctly, they actually introduced some elk into the Northwoods.
Yep, they have. They have a herd up there. I don't know how big it is, but
Yeah, I'm not sure how big it is yet, but we're getting elk.
I don't
thought there was
necessarily
talk
know
of caribou.
how I feel about that either. I don't necessarily have a opinion one way or the other. Pretty much when it comes to all this shit, it's the way I see it is.
I don't think
it
we have enough
used-
predators right now to be able to introduce more of like the elk, the deer.
Yeah, I don't know.
You need that proper balance in the food chain, in my opinion, because have you hit a deer with your car?
Oh yeah. No, I've hit a
Imagine
deer
hitting
like
an elk with your car.
that. Oh yeah, for sure. I almost hit a bear with my car once.
What?
I was like
Where
3
was
feet
that?
away from it on Highway 49, right out of Elderon.
Oh man, so
Coming-
pretty local. Black bear?
Coming from 29, off of 29 from Green Bay. Yeah, big ass black bear. The thing was like gray though. It was huge, but it was like it must have been old because it was like super. It's the grayest bear I've ever seen, but it was like that time of night too, where it was kind of hard to see,
Oh.
And this thing just comes like barreling out of the fucking ditch,
I have yet to see a bear in the wild.
and it ran across the road like full tilt. So I slammed on the brakes,
How fast did it get going?
but I mean, this thing,
Was it booking it?
it was booking it. I mean, this is still pretty. It was coming like up the hill and over the road and shit. So it's
Well,
not
yeah,
like
and
it's
it's a
going
heavy
90 or
animal.
nothing. But it was. I mean, it's.
It's not
moving.
like a cheetah. Dude, if bears
But-
could run as fast as cheetahs, we'd all be fucked.
But yeah, it like the way it just popped out of the ditch. I didn't really have enough time. Oh shit.
That would
It
have
was close.
really messed
It was
things
close.
up
And that's
for you.
when I still had the transport.
Ooh,
you
the
know?
Pontiac
Yeah,
Transport.
with that doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo door.
The side doors on the Pontiac Transports. I'm sure there's audio for it. Look it up, guys. and
Yeah.
gals.
So imagine hitting that thing with a freaking minivan.
That would mess it up.
They say the problem with stuff like that is because it's such a low center of gravity is you usually flip the whole car. They say the worst thing to hit is like a pig.
Really? I suppose with that lower center of mass.
Yeah, because then when you hit it, you're just everything's got to go up and over, and it's so heavy that
Yeah.
usually the whole shit just flips.
I have a feeling that if you smoked a bear or, a taller deer, like say it was an elk, with a Pontiac Transport with that narrow front end, that narrow hood that
Yeah.
scoops up into the windshield.
Probably go right into the windshield, like a moose too. They say is really bad because you snap the legs, but then the whole body comes like
Oh, the top of your car is just crushed.
it's pretty.
Because
It'll be pretty bad.
I mean, you're with moose. You're talking what? Probably around 1,000 pounds.
What did you hear? Did you hear that there's just one of those around here too?
There's a moose.
Yeah. In Elderon, it's been seen.
There's a local moose.
Yep.
Dude,
Yep, a bull moose around.
We are seeing some more interesting things in terms of nature. And this last hunting season, I was talking to my grandma because I hunt out on a different grandmother's property. And she talks about how the ecosystem that they have out on their property goes through these cycles. And I mean, I'm sure it's that way a lot of places, like, not a rainforest, but
Yeah, well, there's enough animals that do that, have a cycle system.
yeah. So
I
like,
know grouse do.
I've heard that she's got coyotes out there. They've mentioned that they've seen wolves, but I haven't seen them. Apparently there's a couple bears out there, but I haven't seen them. And what I've noticed is like I see a lot of squirrels and chipmunks and stuff. And she says, yeah, that's, basically we're at like the rodent cycle.
Oh yeah.
Or rodent stage in the cycle, because then you're going to start to see more foxes, which they now have out. And it's cool to see this because she's like, yeah, this is how it's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, yeah, now you're seeing the fox come out to hunt the rodents. And then you're going to start seeing the bigger predators, at least as far as big predators that we have around here. And I like that aspect. I like not separating ourselves away from nature. Like, that's why I'm kind of out in the country, but close to town. I could never do a big city where it's all concrete buildings, and
Yeah.
that's just too much for me because I want to be able to walk outside and see grass or a tree or an
I hear
animal.
ya. I definitely think I could do a big city, But then I
You could, but have you
but
noticed
I definitely like the outdoors.
the anxiety builds in the city?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. It's one of those things, you go there and I could totally switch into that mindset, but it's nice to be able to escape.
Yeah, and I mean, naturally, these animals are going to have their basic cycle where, the predators are going to go where the food is. And so you're going to see that, but, I'm almost wondering if climate change does have an effect on it in some way, because, what's bringing these animals that are usually farther north into central Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Like, why are we seeing more wolves down here?
Yeah.
Even closer than where there's been that moose sighting where you saw that bear, there's a clear picture of a mountain lion.
Yeah.
Like 10 miles from where I grew up, it's not that far from here. And it's quite obvious that it's a mountain lion. Initial reports, they were like, well, that could be a bobcat. Well, bobcats have short tails. This had that long tail that almost touched the ground. So you could tell that it was a mountain lion. And if you go the other side of town, complete opposite side of town, talking, if you guys look at Google Maps, you'll be able to see this. But if you go from Iola, Wisconsin, about 3 miles west of town on Highway 161, you know where that rock quarry is from Iola down 161?
Yeah, I think so.
I used to be really good friends with the people that own that house, their daughter, back in high school. And so their house is right there between the rock quarry or not the rock quarry, but basically between the quarry and their house. I saw something in the ditch line one day when I was heading to UPS for work. And so I thought, deer, that's your natural instinct, or at least it was until the past couple of years. Thought, oh, there's a deer. So I start to slow down, and as I get closer, I just see this mountain lion like amble down the side of the road and out into this field.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit. That there was a mountain lion sighting in town between on one city block. I had an aunt and uncle that lived, and these were actually Tyler's parents in town, his dad and stepmom. And then my aunt and uncle closer to Division Street in Iola, they had a house, and like the power plant kind of was in between their houses, and they saw a mountain lion between the homes.
Yeah.
And that, that's a good like 400, 500 yards tops right there. And so I looked into it a little bit. Mountain lions actually have in the neighborhood of like 150 miles that they will like deem their
range.
territory. So their range is phenomenal. And so I'm wondering if we're going to see more of that in the upcoming years.
Oh yeah, you'll probably see more mountain lions and more, wolves, more coyotes. I'd say mountain lions and coyotes are the main ones that spread, but you'll probably see more wolves too. Who knows? Unless it depends on the amount of the deer.
Which I think would be cool, but then I'm definitely going to be bringing, like right now I've got a 9mm. Like if we start seeing more wolves in the area, I'm definitely going to have to get a bigger side piece.
You think so?
I
See,
if there's a pack of wolves, I don't know if a 9's going to do too much.
Yeah,
It might just
I'm more
piss,
on
like
the-
a bear, it would piss them off.
I'm more on I'd rather have a lower caliber than something bigger.
Why is that?
Well, like, you got your 9, you got, how many shots does your 9 have?
I think I can do 15.
15, yeah. And how like accurate are you, with shooting it?
Me, absolutely terrible. That's my wife's gun.
But you know what I mean. Like if you were all right with it, you think you'd be better with a gun that has more kick. You know what I mean? And then you think you'd be able to. It might have more knockdown power, but you're only gonna have half as many shells probably. You know what I mean? So it's a horse apiece.
That's a fair point, because if you get
I don't know.
stuck,
I mean, there's definitely something to it. Yeah, if you do hit it, it's gonna go down more. Like I get it, but
like I said,
I like to be devil's advocate, because there's a lot of people that I've heard say that, and I'm always one that's the smallest scent I can get it with.
All right. Well, I'm
really,
curious then.
I'm cool. Or at least like if I'm in the woods,
Mm-hmm.
I feel safe with my hunting rifle and my 9. If there's a pack of wolves,
That's a
even,
fair
I feel
point because
like,
you are
know.
carrying the rifle, but that's if you have enough time for the draw.
Yeah.
So I got to play a little game here with you. You've got a bear coming down on you. Do you want to put 15 rounds from?
You already lost me though because it's Wisconsin, so I'm not thinking. I'm thinking already. I'm never gonna have to use this because something's coming down on me. I'm thinking this is just sheerly scare something away. You know what I mean? Like, what are the chances in Wisconsin a black bear is gonna come, barreling down on you?
Typically, they don't.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's more. So I'm thinking, 17 shots.
Oh, this is
even if that thing is barreling down at me, I shoot once, I miss it. It's stopping probably. And so what the fuck
Since
is that?
it's a black bear, yeah.
What the fuck is that? I shoot 2 more times, it's probably running away.
So
and that's if I miss it. If I do hit it, the first shot, it's definitely probably stopping. What the fuck is that?
You took a hypothetical and logicked the shit out of that.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like,
no, it's true. It's true.
What are the? You don't necessarily have to. You don't have to. You don't have to kill the thing in one shot. You know what I mean?
No, and it's just
obviously, if something's coming down on you, okay, it's hypothetical, and you can, then yeah, the bigger gun would be better. But I just feel like there's so many variables and everything else. Anywhere in Wisconsin, I'd pretty much feel safe with a 22. Just give me something. A stick that makes a lot of noise, and in Wisconsin, I'd feel pretty safe.
For the time being,
send me to Africa. Okay, maybe I change my mind, but
well, for knowing what you know your environment, where you hunt, that makes sense. And I guess it's more than likely, because with that 9, you could still spook the bear if it is coming at you, which is very unlikely. Most of the black bears around here kind of want to be left alone. Because I haven't seen one personally, but when my dad and I were out hunting, heading out to the stand, before dawn, we heard something moving in the woods, so we stopped talking. We barely breathed as you could hear that it was a bear walking through, but I didn't get to see it. It was too dark. But you just sat there quietly, and there I am, 13 years old or whatever. Standing there quietly with my gun strapped to my back, and there's a bear within 10 yards of me that I can hear going by, but I can't see it. So I had to, that was my first taste of, it's not that you got to be afraid of the dark, but what's in the dark.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh man, I hope this just walks by. I don't know what to do in this situation. I never considered that. I'm doing my thing. I'm a 13-year-old that plays video games, and now I'm out in the woods to go kill deer. And then then there's a bear. I'd totally be singing a different tune if it was wolves, in comparison of, okay, say you've got a revolver versus your, a bigger caliber revolver versus a 9mm Glock. If there's a pack of wolves, I'm not going to want 6 shots. I'm not going to want 8 shots. I'm going to want that whole clip.
Yeah.
Because, you can spook one off, but if there's 7 or 8 of them...
Yeah, I don't know. There's just a lot of factors.
There's so many factors, so it's hard to play hypothetical with that stuff. But, the fact is we are seeing, we've had a moose sighting, which is awesome to me. But we've seen more mountain lions. We've seen more wolves. And, it's something to keep an eye on. There's, it's not like we need to act now.
Well,
it's not a call to arms.
You go back, 1,000 years or whatever, and you look at a lot of these animals that are here now. And if, they were here then, I feel like, if it's been here, wolves were here, right? Yeah. Then we killed them all, and then we brought them back here. Okay, whatever. I get that. I get that argument that they have a right to be here or whatever.
Yep.
You could make that.
Oof.
But then I see no reason why once they get to a certain level, you can't put a season on them, And I guess I feel that way pretty much for all of them.
Well, to me, it's totally responsible.
But then it just comes to I don't know if you really need to start necessarily bringing elk back in that weren't here. I mean, I think it's cool, but I don't know.
Whenever I think elk, I think out west.
I would hope that they looked into it enough to see how it would affect the ecosystem. But that's, what I'm saying. Like, there's all that kind of, once you do shit like that, you can't, nobody
hard
can
to
really
scale it
know
back.
what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you can hope you did, the right thing.
Because
Cross
I'm
your
not
fingers.
saying it's nearly as invasive. Like, elk aren't nearly as invasive as this, but, I mean, you look at the Asian carp, to jump over to the fish end of the scale, like, Asian carp made their way into the Mississippi River, and I don't even remember over how many years it was, not that long. It's already worked its way up to where if you go to southwest Wisconsin and fish in the Mississippi, there's a good chance you can catch an Asian carp.
Yeah. No, the question, I guess, is just like, at what point, how long does something not have to be in an area before, when you bring it back, it's considered invasive again? You know what I mean?
Well, it just depends on how the population control goes.
But so it's,
like-
is it, if it was ever there and you bring it back, is it still, okay? Or if a certain amount of time passed without it, is that ecosystem now, is that gonna, fuck with it? Like, who knows?
To go a little conspiracy, maybe they're reintroducing the elk because of the wolves, so they can increase the wolf population.
Yeah, or maybe to take pressure off the deer,
And that could be too.
Even though I don't really think that the deer population is necessarily a problem either.
It may not be necessary. Well, not right now.
But then,
There are
there's
times where you
factors
get
to that, too.
overpopulation, so you just. To me, that's the whole point, though, is conservation. My dad raised me up to be a responsible hunter. Don't take those risky shots. If you have a chance to shoot the deer in the leg, but not in the heart or in the vitals in general, don't take the shot. And so, I mean, yeah, it's one thing to have food in the freezer because I love knowing that I got my meat from the woods. Like, I get my beef from my wife's family. I know where that beef came from.
Yeah.
I saw those damn cows. We eat leaner meat for the most part. So, like, venison's a big source of our proteins. And then with the fishing in my family, we usually get some walleye. We get a lot of trout. I want to add some northern to that mix, Dad. You got to get out fishing more and bring the kids. But, conservation's the way to go with it. And so, I mean, bringing the elk in could be that possibility of adding a secondary choice on the menu for the more predatory animals. But if we don't see a sharp enough incline in the number of wolves or, in general, predators of the elk, it all comes down to how many elk are they introducing into the Northwoods. If we don't have enough predators, how many cars hit deer each year in Wisconsin the way it is now?
Oh, yeah, a lot.
And so you think about it, if there isn't a predator to take out those elk, once the population gets up, there's a good chance that people in the Northwoods are going to be having to drive fucking tanks.
Yeah. But, elk will get accustomed to not going on the roads. People will get accustomed to driving with them.
It's scary almost how domesticated they can get. I know just north of the University of Wisconsin, Stevens Point, UWSP, they have the Schmeeckley Reserve. And when I was in college, I used to jog through there.
Oh, yeah, and they got some pretty tame deer there.
I mean...
And they're all, like, stunted. They're like midget deer in there.
Yeah, they're
They got, like, a square city block of space.
And they are not mule deer. They are full white-tailed deer. They're just stunted growth. But I remember jogging through there a couple different times, and you come around the corner on the trail, and all of a sudden there's a doe. Like, I've gotten within 3 feet of those deer in that wildlife reserve. And it's not a petting zoo. It's just these deer got very domesticated. So you can watch them when all the college kids and all the traffic's coming through.
Oh, yeah.
They will, like, sit and wait for the traffic. Once it's passed, they'll casually walk across the road back into the woods. And you're like, you watch it, and it's like, how smart, what's the capability of intelligence for some of these animals? Wolves are pretty damn smart, but if white-tailed deer can get domesticated to the point of looking left and right before they cross a road, what are some of the the more intelligent animals are going to be capable of that we're seeing introduced or, having growing populations in the area. You alive over there?
Oh yeah. No, I'm just thinking. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough topic that I don't know enough about, really.
I just
When it
like
comes
doing the
down to it,
pondering
there's a
on
lot
it.
of science that goes into that stuff with the DNR and everything.
And shouldn't be ignored.
And I feel like there's a lot of people with a lot of opinions that don't really matter when it comes down to the facts. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's what you have to look at. People's opinions don't really mean shit.
No,
including mine.
it took me a long time to take a step back because I was super, super opinionated for so long. And, had to change my perspective and realize that everybody has their own opinion. Mm-hmm. And then the secondary step was acknowledging that everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
Yeah.
But it didn't take too long to get frustrated and realize that everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but not their own facts.
Well, that's the thing. It seems to be that, lately in this day and age, it's science, facts are more and more, people seem to think that their opinions.
Well, and I'm sure you know some people where they can
change.
read a point blank fact that challenges their opinion on something, and because they feel or believe differently, they will not take that as fact.
Oh, yeah, no, sentiment trumps fact for a lot of people.
I learned that through communications classes. Like, you can go ahead and use logos. You can be logical in your argument no matter what. Sentiment is going to take over that emotion.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not like scientific facts are, necessarily facts either. But that doesn't mean, you know what I mean? Like they can change, that's how science works, but you still can't ignore shit. You know what I mean? You can't just say, well, I don't like wolves, so we shouldn't have wolves, or
Yeah.
Or, I want to shoot wolves, so we should have a season on wolves. Well, what are the numbers? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If there's a lot of them and it's justified, well, then by all means, I think that they should do it,
Yeah, for how it is now, I'm not. If I was sitting in my tree this November, when I'm sitting in my tree stand, if I see a small pack of wolves walk past, yeah, my butthole's gonna clench a little bit, but I'm in my tree stand. And I think that would actually be just almost a regal sight.
Oh yeah,
like,
no, it'd be cool to see one.
Incredible.
But I don't want one, in my backyard, at my,
you gotta
messing
rock
with my
that
shit.
NIMBY.
You know what I mean?
NIMBY style, not in my backyard.
Like that's the same with any of these stuff, and that's a problem I feel with a lot of people that are against, or that are against. Managing some of these animals, the people that are like, oh, well, why would you ever shoot a bear? Why would you ever shoot a wolf? Well,
Population
it's cute.
control.
It's cute on TV, but that doesn't mean you want the thing looking in your window. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Because, even out here, like if I had wolves, and I can't truly say, like, yes, it would be incredible to see a pack of wolves go past my tree stand, but then I have to also think, yeah, that was a magnificent sight, but I'm hunting on my grandmother's property. She's got a small dog. My grandparents are getting a little bit older. They go out to mow the lawn or something,
Oh yeah, they might want to watch the dog then, I guess.
Well, exactly.
The thing is that they're beautiful killing machines, but they're still killing machines.
They're primal as can be.
You can still see the beauty in them and want to keep them around and maintain them, and they have a place. But you have to manage, everything.
Yeah, and that's, to me, population control. It's easy for somebody that's living in a suburb to go, oh, you shouldn't be killing wolves. But okay, let's go up north a little bit where these packs of wolves are coming in and killing all the sheep or taking down cows.
Yeah.
Taking down a cow, that could be a few $1,000s that's cost to the farmer.
Oh yeah.
And of course, you ask that farmer, because it's directly affecting his revenue source, he's going to say, kill them all.
Well, yeah, and that's why farmers get tags, or they can put in for reimbursement and shit like that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like it works its way out.
It's the fact that it's bow hunting season, and in less than 2 months, well, basically about 2 months from now, we're going to see gun season for deer. I think I really want to look into articles about the DNR, do more research on it to see what
Yeah.
we can expect within the upcoming years. Because
Yeah.
I should care a little bit more because my oldest is 5, and even last season he was asking to go out and sit with me. I still think he's I could probably still take him out, but he's going to want earmuffs if I fire the gun.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He doesn't care for loud noises that much.
Well, yeah. Plus, it's not good for your ears, especially at a
But
young age.
to me, it's very important to get up to date
Yeah.
on what's going on with the science and what basically the politicians are going to decide for us.
Uh-huh.
Because if I want to carry on the tradition, I got to know what the tradition's going to be, how
Yeah.
it's going to change.
Yeah. Well, it's cool that your wife's into it and stuff, though.
Hopefully, she's able to
You can
get off this year.
then
for that.
hope, your boys will. There's a better chance that they'll be into it if you're both into it. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
exactly it.
I mean, look at me. Me and my sister both hunted, but my dad and my mom both hunted, and my grandpa and my grandma both hunted.
It is very much a family tradition.
And that's what it is for me. It's all family. So that's why, a lot of times, a lot of the stuff that I see, online or things I hear from people, it's hard for me to relate because a lot of it tends to be a lot about guns, and not a lot about actually, hunting.
The tradition is like part of the spirit.
When it comes right down to it, I don't really give a shit about guns.
Yeah.
I like shooting guns. They're fun, but I don't
know enough.
I don't really even
Yeah.
care about my right to guns as much as only as it affects my ability to hunt.
Yeah.
If they took away all my guns, but I still have my bow, that would be obviously I wouldn't go for that. But you know what I mean,
If it were to happen, you could deal with it.
All the stuff you see, it's all gun control, gun control, gun control.
Yeah.
To me, that's kind of missing sight of the real issue for me, because give it 10 years, I might be able to have my semi-automatic, AR, that whatever shoots itself with heat-sink and tracer bullets. But if there's no fucking animals and there's no private land,
Isn't it funny that my
then-
animals spoke up when you said animals?
yeah, right.
So if there's no private land.
If there's no private land and there's no animals left, well then what the fuck good is that? It's just
Very good
it's just
point.
to kill people, and that's not what guns are for me.
I'm the same
so
way,
much
man.
of that just gets lost on me.
When they were talking about banning assault rifles, I was like, okay.
I mean, I could definitely speak to the other side of that. I
Yeah.
definitely still am completely for that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't disagree with any of that. I think, but all the stuff I see is all about that. I don't see a lot of stuff about, what about public lands? What about, hunting?
You
what
were
about any of
seeing
this? And
Public
it's-
lands were in the news a little bit more, but it's still not headline
Yeah, I mean, and I
news.
see it now because that's what I follow and stuff. But
Well,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? I just feel like a lot of the current gun talk in the media really loses a lot of who it actually relates to.
The facts have already been discussed. It's all about who's got the 15 minutes of fame to tell their opinion. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to, because I used to be really involved with politics, and in the past couple of years or so, I've scaled back from it because you got, in everyday life, you got to pick your battles.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm not a college student anymore, where my biggest responsibility is doing my homework, and I'm not discounting college at all, but a lot can change from the time you're 21 to approaching 30. There's a lot of life lived, a lot of life lessons learned. Especially if you lay down some roots, get married, have kids, whatever the case may be. As long as you have some life experience in that time frame, a lot of perspective can change. And the gun control thing, I was a member of the NRA for a year because they do all kinds of raffles.
Oh yeah.
They give
totally.
away guns, safes, everything.
Yeah. I used to go to the Whitetails banquets all the time.
Yeah, so I figured, well, why not?
That's just awesome.
Sign up for a year, maybe you win something. If not,
Yeah.
you spent like $50 $50 for a chance to win hundreds of thousands of dollars of hunting gear and guns and stuff.
Oh no, it's pretty sweet.
But then I started getting, the mail from the NRA.
Oh yeah.
I mean, some of them literally were just like, President Obama's pushing forward with his pursuit to remove your guns from your hands. And I'm like, well, I'm not fucking holding it.
Yeah.
Like, it's triggering vernacular.
Oh no, that's the main thing I guess I'm getting at too, because like I was saying, it's not like I disagree with. I feel like there's no real reason that the military should have anything that I can't have. You know, I mean, because at the end of the day, we're all just people. Like, what makes them their morals better than mine? They like nobody should have that kind of power over another person. But I don't need, grenades. Like, I don't need, like, there's no reason. I don't want that, Like, if there ever was...
I really have no urge for a grenade.
Like, it's so just, like, ridiculous. Like, if there ever was a, civil war or something, like, yeah, the military would win. Okay.
But
like...
if we're going to entertain that notion...
Does that mean that we all need, like, there's no possible way that the everyman could, like, I don't have a tank, you don't have a tank.
But
I don't
do you
know,
really think that orders
came
came from the top for the military to subdue
No,
the
like,
citizens, that they would actually do it? Because these are, I know, like, the National Guard has it set up. So, like, the people, if we had a disaster here in central Wisconsin, it's not going to be the National Guard from this area that responds. Mm-hmm. And they do that because friends, family relation, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so even if the people coming in to subdue or, do crowd control, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Those people still have families. They still have moms, dads, sisters, brothers. Like, they're still people. I really don't see I don't see a significant margin of them going, okay, yep, it's time to subdue the populace.
I just feel like so many people don't care about those, like, higher powered weapons, that just let everybody do whatever the fuck they want, but make them get the right permits for it. And yeah, you want a grenade? Go for it. But it's going to be a couple years to get that license to, you got to take a class.
Yeah. Well, see,
what I'm saying? Like, the kind of person that wants that can go through that and do that, and that would, they're not going to make it through unless they're the kind of person that should have that.
And that's
so there's no, and then case closed, and then we could just talk about other shit.
Yeah, not every issue needs to be a hot button issue.
But you have to make, you have to make that process.
There has to be a legitimate process.
Yeah, and some things, like a grenade, for instance, there should pretty much be no way you can get that process. You should have to be, like, top of the top, like...
Way back.
I mean, there's no reason anybody needs that, but,
Exactly.
That's a hyperbole.
Do you follow Easy Outdoors by chance?
A little bit. Only as much as you...
Had them on the show and everything?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, they're still very active in what they do.
I follow them on Facebook.
Yeah, I love what they do. Good buddies of mine. We went salmon fishing out in Two Rivers.
Yep.
Sorry, Trivers.
I've gone from that same spot. It's good times.
Hell of a time.
Hell yeah.
Because then you come home, come back to the campsite, have a few beers, and you're having fresh, basically flame broiled fucking salmon.
Salmon fishing like that, so much fun.
It definitely is. But Easy Outdoors was on, and we had like an exclusive when we're trying to do like exclusives and have like a 10 to 15 minute topic set aside.
Yeah.
It just became too much of a hassle because the conversations always run into each other.
Yeah.
But we talked about legislation in Wisconsin about just pulling away the age requirement completely for being able to hunt.
Yeah.
And the idea was to leave it up to the parents' discretion. And I didn't like that idea so much.
Yeah.
Because, and this is where I'm going to sound pretentious, but I feel like the individual is smart and people are dumb.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, say I train my 5-year-old up so that by the age of 7, he knows how to safely handle that firearm.
Yeah.
He knows what to do. I know that. All these other people don't know that. Vice versa, there's this guy that's like, oh, no age requirement, throws a gun in their kid's hand, and
Yeah.
away they go. Basically,
No, I definitely feel like
no
there's
public
should
lands for
definitely
me
be
on
a-
that.
Definitely be the test, like hunter safety. I mean, when I did hunter safety, it was like longer and stuff too. Now I
was
think
the
it's.
cat.
I mean, I don't know when your wife took it, how long it's like a weekend or some shit now, isn't it?
It's
I mean, you can do it different ways too. You can.
it ends
go
up
for-
being. I think hers was like a 2-day thing.
Yeah,
For me, it was like an hour or two every Wednesday for a month.
yeah, me too. It was like at least a month.
And yeah, I think my wife basically. No, this last time around, she had to take an online course. Mm-hmm. So she did it online.
Yeah.
Printed off the certificate, reported in for a field day.
Yeah.
Fired a couple. I don't even think she fired a gun. Mm-hmm. She showed that yes, I know how
that
to
you know
load
stuff. No, the field day is really the main thing. It's like your driver's test. You gotta
Yeah.
you gotta go there. You gotta handle a gun. Show them you know how to do it, and pass the written test like that. I feel, everybody should have to do. You
Yeah.
have to take a test to drive. You should have to take a test to have a gun.
I'm right there with you.
And the age, I mean, like I don't know exactly what it is now, but I know that they've lowered it at least once or twice since I got my license. And whatever, if that's what they feel like, I didn't necessarily, I didn't have a problem with it when I was a kid. Would it have been cool to go hunting a year earlier? Yeah, sure. I mean, it's like the drinking age to me. 21, if they made it to 18,
Big whoop.
it'd be like, it's not, whatever. That's not a big deal to me. But the thing that I do like is that I think now for some things too, I think maybe that's what it is it's 10, but like the first year you have to have a parent with you. And they like, there's something with, okay, yeah, that's what it is. The first year, I think you have to have a parent with you, and the parent can't have a gun.
Oh, can't.
And then you can go at like 10.
Okay.
But then, if you wait until whatever 12 or something, then you can have
As
your gun.
long
But
as
it's
there's a
but there's
process.
it's something like I like that. You ease it. It's not just here you go, you're legal. That like you can because it's like a mentor program then, and that's like what you're talking about, the whole tradition thing.
Yeah, and that's the way it is,
So-
or needs to be. Pass on that
Well, and then it
tradition.
makes sense.
Part of the
It's like-
tradition is responsibility.
Yeah. And it makes sense if you've had your family and you've been around guns your whole life, and you've been showing your kids and stuff. Then you can ease them into it. Where then it still stands that the kid that his parents aren't into that at all, when he turns 12, he can still go whatever, do it all himself and do it. But he shouldn't necessarily, I guess, be able to just go do it all by himself at 10. You know what I mean? Like,
That's a good point.
if there's nobody there to help him.
For me, just completely getting rid of the age requirement for hunting, it makes me uneasy with the idea of like if I were to hunt on public land.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I don't have an opinion on it enough to be like, no, we shouldn't do this, or yeah, let's fight. That's not my battle.
Yeah.
Let the other people figure that out, and I hunt on private land, so it doesn't affect me that much. If you want to be able to take your son out at 8 and teach him life lessons, go for it. Just make sure you're
Yeah.
doing it responsibly.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's fine the way it is, but like I could see, I guess, if you wanted to, like, if a kid could get his small game license or something a little earlier, but
That's something I haven't done, and I think would be fun.
because I never ever shot any small animals before I had my license legally, ever. Never. I never shot any
I used to have a
pigeons.
blowgun and never
I
even did it.
never shot any pigeons in my dad's barn ever, or my grandpa's barn. Never.
I'm still getting over this cold, so I'll get a little cough. If I laugh too loud, I red line on the recording, and
Oh man.
makes me all coffee. Not like the drink. But no, man, we were going to talk about a couple different topics, and we focused primarily on the hunting. And
Yeah, I kind of did. I got
Hunting,
some other
the-
shit written down, but it's all more controversial than hunting. So
it's quite a ride because I had the buzzword climate change in there twice, and we didn't get into it. We went back to the hunting. But so, I mean, we mostly talked about.
Well, we could do climate change real quick because I don't have a whole lot to say about it.
Oh, go for it. I was supposed to leave about 10 minutes ago.
I think it's okay. Well, make it quick. So I don't think it's an issue. I don't think it's an issue at all because everything I see is all about if it's man-made, if it's this, if it's that, if it even exists. I don't think it even matters. All I see is okay. We had this huge hurricane, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this huge hurricane did a shit ton of damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want that to happen again? No, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, isn't it worth looking into that and seeing what you can do to stop it? You know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily give a shit what caused it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. If it doesn't exist, then you shouldn't throw a bunch of money away on something to do nothing. But these are all things that I don't feel like anybody that I've heard it from really knows. You know what I mean? And the way I see it is, to put it in a big example, if there's an asteroid coming at the Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's coming, you wouldn't waste time trying to figure out, if someone caused it. you would just fucking do what you can to get rid of it. So that's all we got to do is just look and see how much it's going to affect us in the future and act accordingly. Like, there's really no.
That's what they're trying to do, though.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean,
I don't really get the argument. Like, I don't see what's even controversial about any of it, really.
I don't see how it's still in a debate in the Senate and the House where the Democrat, it's become a bit, that's the problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that, we could have looked at the data and went, okay, well, even though we have in the history of the Earth is what, 5 billion years old, whatever. Look at how much or how little time humans have been a part of that history.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then we can shave that down even more to go ahead and say recorded human history.
Yeah.
So we don't exactly have a good timeline. We don't have a good sample group of what we're actually experiencing and versus.
Yeah.
For all we know, it could be an actual just climate trend.
Well, a lot of the stuff I've heard is all like, when Trump is going to pull out of the Paris Agreement or whatever, and everybody's like, oh, well, their agreement would only have a, 1 degree change anyway, and this and that. But all this I'm hearing, it's like, well, who knows? To me, that's like saying I'm going to put $1,000 into Amazon stock, and that's not a big deal, or like you don't. But what I'm getting at is, in 20 years, that $1,000 could be, $10 million. Mm-hmm. It could be 10. Like, yeah. How do I know? I don't know. It's a fucking gamble. So how can you can't.
You're saying essentially we don't have enough of a timeline to figure out the future on it for the long term.
Well, I mean, I'd say we do. I'd say that the data's there, but I'd say all the arguments against the data, there's not.
Oh, so now you're saying the climate change naysayers they have their heads up their asses?
Well, I mean, not necessarily.
In a sense.
I mean, I don't think that you're gonna I don't know. I guess I'm having a hard time articulating exactly what I'm trying to get across. Good. So maybe it'll take more time.
I think it's pretty hard to deny the data.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that the two parties, because we'll have to get into this at a future episode. I hope to have you on again.
Mm-hmm.
We got to talk about our own little project off in the side, not on a recording right now.
Yeah.
But basically, to wrap up on my end of it, essentially, because we have this ridiculously antiquated idea of this or that in terms of our bicameral, or basically not bicameral. The bicameral process is fine, House and Senate, but the fact that we only have two political parties, and so naturally one party said, yes, we believe in climate change, so the other side naturally has to go, oh, no. And so they've made it a partisan issue. And that to me is what fucking killed it.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, the fact is, I mean, we're, over halfway through September. Was there any reason that last week we had to deal with like 90-degree weather?
Yeah.
It,
I guess that's my main thing is that climate change, if it does exist or if it doesn't exist, either way, like we had a hurricane. That happened. If there's a way tomorrow we don't have to have a hurricane,
do it.
I'm cool with let's do that. I don't care what caused it. The naysayers will say, "Oh, well, climate change has been happening for, that's what the world
naturally
does. Climate change is natural." Yes, it's natural. But that doesn't mean
if you put your car on cruise control and then tromp the gas, your car's going to go faster.
Like, just because we hypothetically didn't start it doesn't mean we don't, we can't stop it. You know what I mean? Yeah. The dinosaurs didn't cause their climate change. Okay. I mean, granted, it wasn't greenhouse climate. It was an asteroid.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going by
sudden death,
what most scientists would agree. But still, they didn't cause that. They still fucking died. It doesn't matter what causes it. It doesn't matter. All that matters, and it doesn't matter if it's not as bad as.
I think it still matters as to what caused it.
I mean, it matters to the point as if you know what caused it, you can help to fix it. But it only matters to that point. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it's in the past. Obviously, you can learn from the past, so the past always matters.
You're saying like getting too hung up on it and arguing about what's causing it, more or less, is the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I can agree with that.
I'm not saying that the facts are all even there. I'm not saying that there is even climate change. I'm not saying that there isn't climate change. I'm saying if you could make tomorrow suck less, let's do that.
Hell yeah, man.
And that goes for the weather too. Like I don't really see where the issue is. Like nobody wants a tsunami and shit.
Yeah, all these issues that are going on, it's important to remember that you can watch the news and go, oh my God, the world's going to shit. Turn off the TV. Look around. Is your world going to shit? Or are you still the same person that you were yesterday?
The only problem I have when it comes to climate change is, okay, like, if something happens, people are worried about... Okay, so people are worried about, like, if you spend too much money trying to combat climate change when it's going to happen anyway. Right?
Yeah.
So, why not just... It's going to happen, let it happen, and then focus on helping the victims. And yes, you should definitely focus.
You should always
help the victims.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be better if you didn't have to have the disaster in the first place? And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you can get rid of a fucking hurricane or you can get rid of a tsunami.
Yeah.
But to me, like, that's worth looking into, and that's all I'm saying. And it matters to me not what caused it. It matters to me not, only, like I said, the fact that if pollution has caused it, and we know that, and we continue to do nothing about it, well, then it does matter what caused it, because we knew and we didn't do nothing. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it only matters to that fact. Either way, it's happened. Now we just have to figure. And the people that don't think that climate change caused it is fine. But then what did? And how can we prevent it? That's all I'm saying. Is none of it matters to me. The only question I have is how can we prevent it? Really, that's the main question for me.
And that's an awesome point. And to wrap it up a bit here, have you seen what places like the Netherlands are doing for flood prevention?
No.
I want to talk about this more in the future, but you should check that out. The way they've made like floodgates and flood walls and stuff that, because they're below sea level.
Okay.
And so instead of arguing about it,
yeah,
politically and making it a partisan issue, they realized, hey guys, if we don't do something, we're all gonna fucking drown.
Yeah.
And so they've got state of the art machines that are like structures that are gonna last over 100 years that keep the sea at bay.
Yeah.
So if they did have a massive storm and had 40-foot rollers, they're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
But I kind of like how, in a way, you could take what you said about basically preventing it, making that better tomorrow. You can apply that in every aspect of your life.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. That's why a lot of the controversial issues like don't jive as much with me, because it's just so.
A lot of it comes down to don't be
There's
a dick.
there's just a bigger picture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's
and
always a
some
bigger
stuff
picture.
isn't worth arguing about.
The fact is, as humans, as a people, we're still too selfish and think of the here and now. When, I mean, you go back, look at human history is a footnote in the history of our universe. When, to me, that was a liberating feeling to realize how truly insignificant I am in terms of the universe.
Yeah.
It's almost like it took a lot of social pressure off, because you're like, oh, okay, this doesn't really mean all that much, so I might as well make the best of it. And, you know, that goes for family, friends, and life is short. So human history is a footnote. My life is even less of a footnote.
Well, that's another thing I want to talk about on our maybe next one is human history being a footnote, and the fact that an asteroid could come down tomorrow, and like my example before.
At any time, you look at 2017 so far, we've had plenty of near misses,
and that's kind of what the climate change. Like I was saying, like nobody's causing that, but yet it's still a threat. It's natural. It happens.
Yeah.
It's the universe. It makes asteroids.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean it's not a threat. We have nothing to do with it. But if we could fix it, I think we should, right? I think every single person would agree with me that if we could stop a Earth-destroying asteroid, we should do that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter
Armageddon.
where it fucking came from or how it got here.
Just make it stop.
It's just we see impending doom. We should do something about it. But that's the main question, is how much of an impending doom is the climate change?
And that's actually a pretty good question, and I might try to answer that on next week's episode, because the two topics with my sister, assuming all goes as planned again, according to the calendar, our topics will basically be elder care, and then we are going to be getting into climate change. And how we make that transition is a mystery to most people right now, but we'll make it happen.
No, we should definitely talk about some climate change more too, because I guess I got more to say on it than I thought I did.
Well, and see, that's the thing, is there's a lot to say about it, even with us having a pretty similar perspective, because I look at it more or less as climate change is like a ball rolling down the street, and humans basically put a little English on it.
Yeah.
And so, we can go ahead and argue whether or not we put English on it. But the fact is, our fucking ball's rolling down the street.
Yeah.
So we should do something about it.
No, exactly. No, that's a good.
Could you tell I've thought about it a little bit too much? But I appreciate you coming on here.
Oh, no, definitely. It was fun.
I wish we had some more time to chat, because you and I have a lot to discuss. But
no, we'll have to do it again sometime.
So it's a little bittersweet.
Be a little looser next time.
Yeah.
Have our thoughts maybe a little bit more.
Usually I get a little more relaxed, get slightly inebriated, but I do have to go pick up my kids. So it is what it is. I fly straight when it comes to my offspring.
But this is fun, though.
Definitely, man. I had a great time, and it's only bittersweet in that it's bitter because it's ending, but it's sweet because, there's a whole slew of episodes we could do on various topics.
Oh, yeah. No, I got a couple more topics I wrote down here that we didn't get to that would be fun to
What's coming up in the future?
About. Well, I got a little bit of stuff about, I was going to talk about that Google memo. Did you hear about that?
Yep.
I got fired from there. Some women's rights, feminist stuff, and
there's
a
full episode of him on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yeah, I listened to that
about.
one. I've listened to a couple other ones, so I feel like it's a decent topic because I feel like I can see both sides.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I feel like I agree with both sides.
I was not I didn't have an opinion on one side or the other. Like after listening to that episode, it's like, okay, well, definitely. I'm middle of the road. Like I
Yeah.
can see how you're pissed and I can see how it sucks for you for getting fired, but
Well, yeah, the thing is quickly, I feel like he has the right to say what he wants to say, but he has the right to be fired for saying what he wants to say because he said some shit that was could be taken against his
out of a lot of it was
employees.
taken out of context. A lot of it could sound awful,
Yeah.
but I seriously think this could be a full segment.
Oh no, definitely.
And
And then I got some other stuff I wanted to talk about. North Korea. We talked about the SEAL carry thing. I wanted to talk about vaccines.
Oh, hell yeah.
I wanted to talk about the removal of those Confederate monuments they've been doing.
Yeah, I'm down for that one too, because Confederate monuments being taken down and the whole NFL flag issue that happened a couple weeks ago.
I would definitely like to discuss that too, because that's another one where I feel like both sides I feel want the same thing. They're just going about it in the wrong ways.
Yeah.
And that's
Oh,
that's the issue with I feel most things these days is a lot of shit is divided when it doesn't have to be.
I'll tell you what, man. I want to, before you take off, I want to take a picture of your notebook to have those notes. I won't
want to get my writing.
It'll be fine because we keep notepads on the table, jot stuff down. But
Cool, man.
in future episodes, we got to talk about this. Your friend there didn't get the hint.
No, it's my parents always got to call 3 times in a row.
Oh, in that case, thanks again for coming, Matt. Happy to see you again after way too long.
Definitely.
And in the future, we got to hang out more and definitely got to do more episodes because I had a hell of a time.
Oh yeah, no, we got a bunch more we could talk about, I'm sure. So
Oh, definitely.
we'll do it.
And it's raining outside now. Sadness. Actually, we need it. It'll kill the heat.
Yeah, no, it'll be nice.
Oh no! Now people can look at the radar or the weather and realize what day we recorded this. But either way, I hope you guys had a good time, Rawcast listeners. Until next time, you can always follow us on Twitter, Facebook. We have an Instagram. We don't use that as much. Not a huge fan of Instagram.
Yeah, I have it, but I don't use it.
I just, rather than see a picture of somebody, I'd rather see them sitting across with a microphone in front of them.
Yeah.
But here it is. We're going to end you out at about an hour and a half.
Sweet.
Deuces.